Hi, welcome everyone to our solidarity session. We are back at 3 p.m. How is everyone doing? For those of you who your colleagues may be joining in, understand that in our last week or so, we have changed from using our Zoom links to our Facebook Live links. So maybe there are a few colleagues of you who are still unfamiliar. Please do forward out the links from Facebook, or if you're joining us from YouTube, please forward out to your friends and colleagues that you know wants to join as well. All right. So now we are already coming towards the month of August. I just want to remind everyone at this session, in the end of today's session, we will actually drop a form. To you all. So there will be a number of topics that we would like for your suggestions, because we have done a series of psychological topics, we have done marketing topics, we have done personal upskilling topics, soft topics, technical topics. So we have quite a large spread of negotiators on our solidarity program, and we want to make sure that carrying forward, we want to make sure that all the programs are at least fitted for the majority, and we will arrange according to priority lah. All right, so guys, please try to keep active, and your feedback is very, very much appreciated to plan out our training for August onwards. All right, so that's just a quick reminder. Okay, besides that, let me just drop you some social media reminders. All right. So in terms of social media, for those of you who have missed out any of our trainings, do tune in and please subscribe if you can for our official channel, Solidarity Beyond 2021 on YouTube. And as for our programs moving forward, you can keep up to date on all social media platforms. There's WhatsApp, there's Facebook, and also Instagram. Okay, so before moving to our house rules of today, of course, I just want to brief everyone. This program, for those of you who are new and those of you who are fresh here, is not a program locked just for these three agencies. It's a solidarity initiative started by these three agencies, namely CBD Properties, Esprit Estate, and also Profile Property. The whole objective and intention of us to set out this solidarity program is to make sure during this time of MCO and moving after MCO, we create a strong bond of negotiators, all with the same positive mindset and the same idea of continuous improvement. Every week, every month, we want to share the positive energy. So we want to build this platform for all real estate practitioners, not just for the ones in our agencies. This platform has provided very good upskilling based trainings. We even have developers messaging us. We also got a lot of our colleagues from other agencies messaging us. So for those team leaders, you all can use this platform as a good platform to recruit and to share. And for those of you negotiators who are budding, who believe that this knowledge is good to share, please do share it out as well, okay? Education is provided, it is for everyone, and we hope our following in solidarity keeps increasing day to day, okay? So on behalf of everyone, I just thank you all so much for your continuous support in these last 2 months. It has been fantastic. Let's continue to spread the good energy all around Malaysia, all right? We have our colleagues from Sabah, Sarawak, Johor, Penang. Let's expose ourselves even more, all right? So good afternoon, everyone, all our active members. Let me just have a quick thank you for all of you that has constantly been active. Benkian, Judy, fantastic. Patrick, thank you so much. Very consistent. Desmond, Visan, Frank Lim. These are all names that I almost see on a daily progression. Josephine, thank you so much for joining us again. Amy, Mr. Tang, thank you so much for your continuous support. You are why this platform keeps growing, and we are very thankful for that. All right, so moving into our topic of the day, I actually personally save my time for the topic of the day also. But before before the topic of the day, sorry, I missed one step, was our house rules. Yeah, try your best to keep the comments active, and more active. All right, we love to see questions. We love the constructive effort over the chat. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep the chat room constructive. Keep it active, whether you're from YouTube or Facebook. Ask away and comment away. Just keep it clean and try your best not to advertise anything that has nothing to do with property, because this, again, I repeat, it is a live show for education. So let's continuously share our comments so we can help each other improve. Okay, moving towards the topic of the day. All right, the topic of the day, we have our most popular spokesperson in our solidarity program. His name is Aldrin Tan. Okay, just a fun fact for those of you who have never been into one of Aldrin Tan's training. Can you please type in a number 3? If you have never been into a Aldrin Tan training, can you please type a number 3 at our chat session? Okay, I'll be quite surprised to see a number 3 lah. But anybody have not heard from Mr. Aldrin Tan? Please type in a number 3. Okay, so while we are waiting for that comments, of course, today's program at 3 p.m., we are thankful and we're lucky enough to have Aldrin spend another hour of his time. In fact, it is a very interesting topic because we don't see these soft topics being presented out by much agencies or practitioners. So, salesmanship, the art of selling, which will brush up your selling skills. All right. So how you make people feel, how you move people from logical to emotional, from emotional to logical, all this will be taught by our Sifu Aldrin, who is the CEO of Esprit Estate and also Real Estate Agent of the Year for the year of 2020. So we are lucky enough to have one of the best in our market, one of the best to teach us, and let's all listen in, constructively comment, and let's improve our salesmanship. Mr. Aldrin, can I please test your mic, please?
Guy, can you hear me?
Hi, Aldrin.
Hi, hold on. Can you hear me?
Yes, very clear, Aldrin.
Very clear. So, okay, great.
Yep. Okay, Aldrin, before I leave it over to you, still got one person in our program have not heard your training before. Maybe you want to address Miss Kim Mela. She's the only person that typed in number 3. It will be her first time to listen in to you. So, Mr. Aldrin, we are all very excited. Please take it away.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. All right. You guys can hear me. Yeah. If you can't hear me, just say you can't hear me in the chat group. All right. Kim Bella, welcome to this Solidarity Beyond 2021 session. So for those who has been following us on daily basis at 3 p.m. Give a thumbs up. All right. Okay. To yourself. It's a great challenge for all of us during this challenging time. All right, to be able to roll this out consistently every 3 p.m. And that's actually one of the reason. All right, just think about it. As I always say, I lost count how many days we got locked down. The only way I track is actually to see how long my hair is actually grown. Okay, so that is as bad as it can be. Yeah. But then think on the flip side as well. Okay. So for whatever challenges that you are facing, yeah. So we deal with a lot of agents on the ground. On daily basis. One of the simplest thing that we can always do is to come together. All right. Support each other emotionally while we are learning, and I think that is a very important thing. So for Kim, welcome to this session. It's going to be your first session, and I believe it's going to be for many sessions for you to attend as well. All right. So okay. So what I'm sharing today is actually salesmanship. Yeah. So what is this salesmanship all about? Okay. So and why I chose to actually share this. Along your journey of being a practitioner on the ground, doing sales, you have been going through a lot of learning process, for soft skills, set skill, whatever skill that we can have. And I believe by now, each and every one of you will also have already realized that what is important is actually execution. All right. So this is actually my thought process. Yeah. So whatever that we learn, whatever skills that we learn, those are extremely very valuable. All right. And as a good student, all right. If I may say, then you take the decision to execute it. Am I right? And so how do you measure your success? Of course, it's through practice. Am I right? So you have the skill and you have the execution part of applying what you have learned to turn into something positive in terms of adding values to your client, and in return you get more sales. I think that is the bottom line. Am I right? So I believe everyone over here would like to close more deals. All right. So salesmanship to me is an art and is very, very important. Okay. Now, why is that so? Is because whatever that you have learned, all right, and it could be many, many things you have learned, and you apply it directly in the way you carry on your business, or even it could be, let's say, a certain information that you gather. All right, could be a statistic that we share, could be the outlook that we have shared. All right, could be the market pulse, and you would like to share with your client. One of the bridge, all right, for you to be able to share this successfully is through salesmanship. And I say this is an art, all right? So let me just share a bit of a story, a bit of an analogy before I proceed further. I remember in those days in Form 5, all right, so I took my SPM, or is it Form 3? I can't remember. Okay, so one of the subject is art, all right, in Malay called lukisan. And I'm pretty bad at that. All right, I can't really draw, I can't really paint. Okay, so then so somehow my mom enrolled me into a art class, and I remember it's every Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Okay, so then you learn how to mix the color. All right, if you mix the red and the yellow, you turn into purple. Is that right? Correct me if I'm wrong. And so then you learn how to do shading. Then you learn how to draw using the pencil. And so those are very valuable skill. All right. So I've actually took a 1-year tuition on art, so that I can prepare myself for the SPM or SRP. I cannot remember. All right, of the Form 3 major exam. Okay, the bottom line is this: I got a C. All right. So the result wasn't as what I actually wanted. Now, for one simple reason, because whatever that I've learned, I struggled to actually go back and actually start drawing, start painting. However, one of the situation that I face is this. Okay, whatever that I paint, all right, is as much as good as what it gets. Okay, obviously not good enough to even get a better grade than C. Yeah. So one of the message I want to bring across to everyone. Okay, for the next 40 over minutes when I share, a lot of things you probably have already known. Am I right? And you know that practice makes perfect. But the most important thing is this: practice with your client. Okay, that is the most important thing, and then you will be able to see the result. Okay, so let me just share with you the slide. Okay, so what is salesmanship? Yeah. Okay, I hope everyone can see the slide. Okay, so salesmanship is actually the art of presenting an offering that the prospect appreciate the need for it, and that a mutually satisfactory sales follow. Okay, so and I always say that communication is highly important, because we are in the business of we are in the human business. All right. Okay, you think about it, every single transaction. Yeah, yes, we are selling bricks and mortar, we are selling fixed asset, right? But who are the people behind this property that we are selling that is making the decision to sell or not to sell? All right. So like I always say, every single transaction involves 5 parties. You need a seller, you need a buyer, you need a lawyer, you need a banker, and you need an estate agent. Yeah. So can you imagine 5 human factors, 5 individual over here. Yeah, the property is always the same one, all right, physically. But then every single physical property that we think that is the same, the moment the ownership change, the human factor behind it change. So this is actually one of the way where you can so-called bear in mind, okay, and you don't have to think back everything that I've shared today. Just pick one and just give it a thought, and then you think about it. And this is what I always see to a lot of salespeople, including me as well. All right. While I can say that I'm sharing this through my experience, sometimes, to be very honest with you, it's easier said than done, because our final objective is always we want to close the sales. Okay. I am still doing sales today, all right, in a very different angle. But sales is an integral part of every single business, all right. So that is what it is. So for you to be able to communicate, all right, and show a good salesmanship, there's a couple of things that I can share with everyone today. So bear in mind, okay, salesmanship is not just about the final objective of you wanting to close the deal. While that is actually the goal that you want to achieve, is actually a process that you go through, is a journey that you go through. And I find this is very interesting, because if you can, in a way, acquire this, all right, and you can do a lot of self-reading, even when you Google, you read a lot of books, there's so many tips of salesmanship. One of the things that you can take back is, if you brush up this skill, trust me, your negotiation skill will be this, all right, will be wonderful, okay? And so this is what each and everyone should bear in mind. Now, so how do we cultivate salesmanship? Okay, so how? Yeah, there are many ways. Yeah, and this is what I always believe. As long as if you take a couple of tips you bear in mind, do it in your own way. All right, because each and every one of us communicate with the other person in a very different way. Am I right? For me, I'm one person that I always break the ice. Even let's say going into a meeting with people that I have not met, or it could be going into a serious meeting. Yeah, let's say with clients of, let's say, I don't know, of top management. So then, all of us will always feel that, hey, it's such serious, and we got to be in our best behavior. And then we become very self-conscious. But this is what I always believe: communication. Be natural, all right? Be natural, and things will be fine, because do it your way, all right? For example, when I go into a meeting, or if, let's say, for example, I go into a meeting where I'm late, okay, then I will, so this is me, I will crack up a dry joke, yeah, and just to break the ice, and then I'm able to bring across the messages clearer, okay, and people will be more receptive. The key word here is this: you can say what you want, you can do what you think that is right to do, and you can say what your client want you to say or want you to do, but are they receptive to what you are doing and what you are saying? All right, receptive is very is a key word here. So one of the way of a good salesmanship is when you can get your client's antenna. Just imagine the old-fashioned car, when you turn on the radio, the antenna will actually what you call rises up. Am I right? So if you can raise your client's antenna all the way up, so meaning to say they are all hearing and wanting to know what you have to say. And that is very important. Otherwise, how are you going to get your sales done, right? Okay, so let's get on with tip number 1. Okay, being trustworthy is a super big word. All right, very big. Many years ago, I when I do a lot of active sales, one of my habit is actually this: trust me. All right, trust me. Then until one day, someone actually tell me, Eldrin, how can you ask people to trust you? Trust is to be given, not to ask. You don't ask someone to trust you. Why I say that is because it's a habit. Yeah, all right. So that really made me give it a deep thought about the usual phrase that I say, trust me, trust me. Am I right? And for a moment, I get very self-conscious. So then, okay, how do we build trust? Trust is actually highly important, and so to me, it's actually a thought process. Yeah. So how do we do it trustworthy? Number one, I'm just going to share this something very simple. It's like building a bridge to your customer in terms of trust. Okay. Number one, dress appropriately. Okay, because you are a representation of your service, which is your product. Yeah. So if you do not dress appropriately, okay, how would your client look at you? Okay, I used to see agents who actually come to office and wear the sandal. Okay, men, okay, I always believe, women can more or less get away with dressing. All right, but for men, it's very different. Yeah, so whenever I see an agent that come to the office and wear sandal, the first thing I ask is, hey, you got no appointment today? Yeah? Then they say, yeah. Then I say, you cannot be wearing sandal to your appointment, right? Okay. Then they say, oh no, Aldrin, don't worry. Okay. I have a pair of shoes. Okay, fair enough. What if you see someone wearing a collarless shirt? Okay. Then what the person will say? Oh, Aldrin, I have a shirt in my car. Now, to me, is this: your dressing is actually your Superman suit. Okay. Now, one thing about salesmanship is you must be ever ready, all right, to actually meet up with your client. So that is very important, and so that will also reflect the way you carry out yourself, the way you carry out your business. Okay. Now, one of the simple tips is this. Okay. You cannot be running your business based on when there is a demand, then you work on it. You have to work on it so that when the demand comes, you are able to capture and turn it into sales. All right. So I'm going to explain that a bit deeper as we go along. Put customer first. While sometimes I do not agree that we all know that customer is not always right. Okay. But what do I mean by put customer first? Now, this may sound a bit of a conflicting, what you call a statement. While I say put customer first, and I also say that customers are not always right, is sometimes you can agree to disagree. All right, you don't have to go into a debate with your client. Yeah, because when it comes to, let's say, property investment, everyone has a different strategy. Am I right? So when I say put customer first, is understand your client, and if let's say there are two different school of thoughts, and let's say there is a conflicting views on a certain matter, give the respect and also agree to disagree. All right, that is the least that you can do. All right, empathize. This is the most important thing. All right, so empathize meaning to say understand your client. If you do not understand your client, yeah, so how are you going to put whatever sales proposition that you're going to bring across? Okay, these days we hear a lot about AI. Am I right? Artificial intelligence. Okay, now AI itself is to simulate the human brain of making decision, and then that will lead to our action. Am I right? So when I say empathize, what will this funnel down? This will funnel down to one thing. All right. Do not just regurgitate. All right. Do not just copy everything. All right. Or take up your sales kit and you go point number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Because there is only one thing. You are not here to push information. Okay. You are here to actually push information, but you also got to assess how does your client actually react. Okay, so because we deal with a lot of people, and everyone come in a very different angle, and they have very different experience. Just think about it. Empathizing your client is also the key to be able to have a good salesmanship. All right, and this goes without saying, be an expert in your field. Okay, so the word expert is also a very, very big word. Am I right? So how can you be an expert? An expert in your field means also through the experience, through the number of transactions that you have done within that area or within the segment of the industry, in the real estate industry. also could be based on the knowledge that you have. So now you do not need to be an expert in everything under the real estate sector, because it's just way too wide. It's just way too wide. Okay. Just last week I got a message from an agent of mine asking me about certain legality issues. Okay. Number one, I'm not a lawyer. Okay, yeah, I did study law subject in school, and so it's also an interest for me to do self-study, particularly contract. All right, contract laws is one of my favorite subjects, so to speak. Okay, but she was asking me about other legality matters. So it's as much as you can know, you can learn, but you don't have to know everything, because you're not expected to know everything and everything under the sun. So my simple advice is for her to actually refer to a lawyer. I gave her some numbers. Am I right? So being an expert, don't get yourself wrong. You don't have to know everything and everything. All right, you need specialization, more so in this era where there's so many disruption. We are in the pandemic, and we are going through a pretty tough time. Yeah, all right. So now integrity is super important. Okay, we are talking about building trust. So, and I always say this again, it's always a thought process. It's like building a house. If you want to build a good and sustainable house and it can last for 100 years, it has to come from the foundation. Am I right? It has to go deeper down. So and I always say this, and this is what my belief system is. All right. So if you want to have integrity, what are the elements that's needed for you to have integrity? You must have transparency and you must have accountability. If you do not have accountability, and how can you be accountable to the people that you work together, your colleagues, your client? Am I right? So if you do not have accountability, you do not have responsibility, then you will lack of transparency. And lack of transparency is actually one of the key area where your integrity is not there. Okay, so things can be as simple as it is what it is. All right, and there's no two ways about it. So of course, follow up. Yeah, that is important, and I also put it in a very big font because, follow up. Okay, you have to keep the conversation going. You have to keep the relationship going. Am I right? It's a very simple thing. All our clients, including us, we are human, and it's inbuilt in every single human that I believe in, that we are in a way that we would like to help people, and then there is this decision of whether who do you help. Am I right? And I always give this example. Okay, if let's say you have you have a couple of good friends. Am I right? And you don't even communicate with them. You don't even keep in touch with them, right? And one day you find yourself in a bit of financial difficulty and you need to borrow some money, and you start calling them. What will happen? Am I right? But if you happen to actually be in communication with a couple of your good friends, and then if you really need the help, likelihood is they may be able to help you. Am I right? So it's the same for your client as well. Okay, and I gave this example before. All right, I come across an agent who came and tell me, "Hey, Aldrin, when I go and put the banner in the factory, the guard actually do not allow me to put the banner in the factory." And I told the guard, I know the owner. And then when I called the owner said this to me, it's okay, I have another 2 agents that's working on it that's already put up the banner. And this agent come and tell me, why? So the first thing that I asked him is this: when was the last time you actually contacted this owner? 2-3 years ago. And I say, why 2-3 years ago? Well, Aldrin, the place is all this while is occupied until last week when I saw it's empty. Then I called the owner. Now, knowing the owner is not good enough. You've got to maintain the relationship. Yeah. So follow up is the key to your business. So then there are so many keys, am I right? Okay, so you think about it, all right? So dress appropriately, okay? You got to take your profession seriously, all right? We are professionals, okay? We are professional by the fact that we are, registered negotiator, registered agent under the Board of Valuers and Estate Agent, under the is a Parliament Act under the Ministry of Finance. Am I right? So another word is this is actually a career that you don't play. Am I right? So so the only thing is this, yeah. Okay, everyone and anyone, almost anyone and everyone can just go for a 2 days course. Just listen in and get the NCC cert, and then you can be registered as a negotiator. Okay, I'm not here to put down anything, but of course, I think matters like that need to be improvised. We need to really move towards what you call a situation or a level that by far and large, every single salesperson or negotiator on the ground is able to give a better service in terms of professionalism. All right. But the simplest thing that you can do is this dressing. That is the simplest thing. All right. I mean, of course, these days, dressing is a lot simpler, as compared to many years ago. I remember when I first started, that was in '95. That is the expected dressing, minimum expected dressing, that we have to wear long sleeve shirt and wear a tie. Okay, those were the crazy days when I was running around, for viewing and putting up banners. Can you imagine the heat and the sweat and the humidity? Am I right? Yes, these days, dressing is actually more casual. So that is actually quite a pretty plus point. Am I right? You can just wear a shirt like what I'm wearing now and even wear a jeans. Yes, it can be also in a certain level quite pretty acceptable. But what I'm trying to say is this: don't wear anything that is sloppy, all right? Now, why is that so? It's because you got to respect your profession. If you do not respect your profession, do not expect your client to respect your profession. Am I right? How often do we hear people said people in the public that says that, oh, we can't really trust agent. Am I right? Whenever they want to place a booking deposit and they're going to place under our client's account, and then they'll be asking a lot of questions. Am I right? So the concerns are there and things like that. So number 2 is you got to respect yourself. Number 3, you got to respect your client. Okay. Imagine, okay, sometimes I always ponder, these are a lot of things that we know what to do, but yet we do not do it, right? For example, let's just say, for example, you are invited to a party by your friend, okay, and there's actually a certain theme that you need to wear, all right? Maybe wear like a cowboy, let's just say, all right? And then you do not conform to the dress code. What would happen? So you just give it a little thought. So one of the things is, number 1, do not dress sloppily. All right. You got to groom yourself. That is highly important, because the first impression is the one where it will speak 1,000 words. Yeah. All right. And of course, even if you dress very nicely, what comes out from your mouth is also another story. Yeah, okay. So I can tell you, being a real estate negotiator, I can tell you is sometimes it's also not an easy job. Okay, put customer first. I think one of the things that I always do is balance sincerity and the desire to sell. I am okay, for those who have studied the what do you call a book called Sales Dog. All right, I can't remember the author. All right, so there's this very famous author and trainer that come up with a book that called Sales Dog. So he categorized what type of salespeople under the 5 category of dogs. For example, bulldog, chihuahua, retriever. So this is all profiling of salespeople. All right. So obviously I was actually a bulldog So pretty aggressive. Am I right? Because every single day I tell myself I want to close a deal. I need to close. I want to close. I want to close, and I want to close, and I want to close. Yeah. After all, we are doing sales. If you do not close, the deal, then you fail as a salesperson. Am I right? Okay, but then after a little while, yeah, I also realized that you have to balance sincerity. Okay, so this is the part where a lot of agents sometimes can go into a gray area, but this is what I always believe as well. Okay, you have to weigh in terms of building business relation, in terms of building future businesses that you can have from a particular individual that you're trying to sell the property today. Even if you do not, you are not able to sell the property today, to the very least is you can maintain the business relationship so that there are other future business opportunity. Okay, so to me this is pretty important. Number two, be firm and honest. Okay, sometimes I feel including myself at times that you try to listen to too many people and you sway, all right, in terms of certain things that your thought process. But there is one thing when it comes to sales, to me, it's actually very simple, and especially during negotiation, you got to be firm and you got to be honest. Yeah, sincerity, honesty, integrity. If you tell me these are the key words that is always will bring you a super long way. Yeah, all right. And you always remember, if customers do not trust you, they are less likely to commit. Okay, even if they do not have that certain level of trust, but they still buy from you, then you have to remember they buy from you is because you just happen to be the agent who introduced that particular property to him or her. Am I right? And then this is also the $1 million situation. A lot of us on the ground are very frightened and afraid of being undercut. Okay, and we always think of all sorts of way of how to eliminate our competitor, right? By trying to get so exclusive, yeah, which is also the right way. By doing a lot of things, but one of the things is this. Okay, if you are able to build trust and confidence, okay, and your client is very likely to go with you than anyone else. Yeah, so bear that in mind. So sometimes at times it's better to agree with your customer on the imperfection of the property that you are pitching than objecting your customer. So the rule number one of handling objection is do not object an objection. Yeah. So of course there's another day story that I can share with you guys. Okay. So and remember, there is no perfect property. Now, why I say this is this. Is because I do see on the ground, and I personally also experience it. Nobody like to be objected. Nobody like to be turned down. Am I right? And sometimes there could be a property that you yourself really know that is such a good buy. Okay, it is such a good return and such a good potential. Just because your client do not see it, you always remember they have nothing against you. All right, it could be from the angle they may not want to invest now, they may want to invest later, they may also decide to adopt a wait and see situation. Okay, so empathize. Okay, what is the meaning of empathize? Ability to understand and share the feelings of another. I think one of the things is we all are very good at listening. Listen, but do we understand? All right, do we comprehend? Okay, and so if just for the simple thought process of you listen, okay, and you understand, okay, you must also comprehend as well. All right, and when you comprehend, meaning to say you got to make sense of what your client is telling you. That is important. All right, and so I just give you a very candid photo over here. All right, as with a lot of salesmen. And I always say that if you see two persons standing in front of a house, the one with the hands flying are likely the one that is doing the sales, all right? And the one with the hands not flying are the one usually the client, right? Because salespeople, you tend to be articulate, right? So listen and lip close, meaning to say pause, learn to pause and listen to your client. So this is also one of my weakness. Yeah. I also realize that, and it's also pretty tough to actually manage it. I have this habit of interrupting when someone were to talk. Okay, so what do I do is every single time when I realize I'm doing that, I tell myself pause. All right, listen to what people have to say, and keep your hand still and your legs firm on the ground. Okay, so just a candid example. Okay, moving on next, be an expert in your field, know your products well. Okay, all right, including your services. How are you going to deliver your service? That's important. Your competitors' product, needless to say, you must be able to know exactly, what are their strengths, what are the weaknesses. Because why? At the end of the day, when you close a sale, your buyer or your tenant actually make a decision whether to buy the property or to go with you by having a comparison with either another agent or another property that the other agent is actually proposing. All right, and so bear in mind, if you want to gauge where do you stand in terms of how competitive you are. All right, one of the things is this: you don't only gauge within yourself, you also have to have a benchmark with your other competitors as well. Are they able to deliver certain things much faster than you, or the services they are able to deliver in a better way? Now that should be a benchmark. All right, and always bear in mind, product changes over time. Keep yourself updated. This is one where no matter how you know the product well, you have to remember you can know the physical product very well, okay, in terms of the size, in terms of the facing, in terms of the height, in terms of let's say what is a potential return. Those are what I call the fixed constant of physical of the property. But then you think about it, all right, the person that is owning the property is a human, all right, and when it comes to human in making this decision, things may change. Whether the owner during this pandemic is lowering the price or is actually increasing the price, am I right? Or maybe the owner decided, he doesn't want to sell now, he will prefer to rent. So do you actually update the product information? This is highly important. Actually, to me, when I close a sales, let's say in selling a property, I'm actually not closing that property, I'm closing the owner. Okay, I'm closing the buyer, I'm closing the landlord, I'm closing the tenant. Yeah, so bear that in mind. Speed, update info, important. Timely information is the key to your success in increasing your probability of sales. Okay, so knowing it is not good enough. It got to be fast enough. It got to be in a timely manner. So another word is this: if you want to be a highly successful negotiator on the ground, which everyone that's listening in today is more than capable of doing that, because I believe we are capable. Bear in mind, one of the things is you shouldn't slack lah. All right. So the moment you slack, that is where the beginning of where the downhill is. Yeah. Again, easier said than done. So I'm the one sharing today. I can understand some of you may probably be thinking, well, yeah, Aldrin, I know, but but it's kind of tough. Yeah, I do understand. No one says it's easy. Am I right? So I also face that as well. Okay, but I think it's important thing is for us to constantly remind ourselves, what do we need to do? Okay, some reminder like integrity, what's the meaning? Okay, let's not get into that. Knowing the meaning is actually pointless. To me, is whether are you able to maintain a certain high level of integrity, which is something like I say is a super big word. All right, to me, the key of integrity is sincerity, transparency. You got to be accountable for things. You got to be responsible. Let me just share you a story here. Okay, this happened quite many years ago. So we always learn from our mistake. So I remember one of the case that I closed. It was a cold case. Yeah, co-broke case of I was representing the owner and the tenant. Actually, the tenant was represented by the co-broke agent. So the deal went on very smoothly. So it was a rental of I believe was a detached factory. Okay, about 30 over thousand. And so what happened was everything is done, documentation is done, tenant signed the agreement, owner signed the agreement, deposit is being paid, the property is handed over. Okay, and so when the property is handed over, so the co-broke agent came and tell me, hey, Aldrin, the tenant actually want to stamp on their own. So I say, okay lah, fine. So what happened was the tenant actually took the tenancy agreement. Now, 2 months later, the tenancy agreement wasn't stamped. Yeah. And the tenant decided they do not want to carry on with the tenancy agreement. They have not even moved in. And the tenancy agreement actually do not have a termination clause. So meaning to say it's a fixed tenancy where the tenant is liable for 34 or 36 months, 3 years tenancy of 30,000 a month. Okay. Let's not talk about whether is it legal binding or not in terms of the contract. Of course it is lah. But at that point of time, my client, the landlord, was extremely mad with me. All right. And I remember when I went into the meeting to address this issue, the first thing the landlord is a husband and wife. The wife literally take the hand and bang the table. And this is what she mentioned to me. Aldrin, I trusted you. How can you do this? Now, so on hindsight, all right, that changed the way I, allowed either tenant to stamp the agreement or not. But bottom line is this, okay? This lady, this couple became my good friend. Yeah. While they understand the situation, it was actually what you call a lack of wise decision to allow the tenant to actually stamp the agreement, and obviously they did not do so. There is one thing, all right, that eventually I asked my client after so many years. All right, so whenever sometimes I met up with them, I will bring up this story. There's only one thing that why. They still buy property from me right after that, and we still maintain a good relationship is because of sincerity and integrity. And this is what I always believe. We are not perfect. It's always the intention. If you have good intention, people can see it, people can feel it, and your good intention got to be reflected by the action, by the way you carry out your job, by the way you speak. All right, by the way you make a decision, even though you can make mistake. All right, so that is actually highly important. Follow up. Okay, I've shared this in a couple of a session before. So this is the statistic from the National Association Realtors of United States. So ask yourself which category that you fall into. All right, 48% of salespeople never follow up with prospect. Are you one of them? 25% of salespeople make the second contact and stop. Are you one of them? Yes, I know sometimes you say, hey, but Aldrin, I call the client. The client refused to answer my call. I message also blue tick me, and worse still, I call the client. The client say, who are you? Yes, true story. Yeah. 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and stop. Only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. But this is a statistics. 2% of sales are made on the first contact. If you happen to have one viewing, one person call you, one viewing, and one offer, and you close the deal, you only consist of 2% sales are made on the first contact. But if you have more than that, first contact, first offer, and then the sales went through, we perhaps you can also share with us, what are you doing that is right that you can actually have that kind of sales. But statistically, it's 2% of sales are made on the first contact. 3% of sales are made on the second contact, 5% on the third, 10% on the fourth, and a whopping 80% are made after the 8 to 12 contacts, means follow up. This is one thing where we all know that we need to build our customer base, which is the loyal client, right? Okay, so tip number 2. Under promise, over deliver. Okay, I find a lot of salespeople are actually very overzealous. Okay, everyone want to close the sales. Bear in mind, under promise, over deliver. This is the best policy. You will never go wrong with that. And I think it's very important. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Okay, because this business has a very high element of based on trust. It's a trust relationship. All right. The way I carry out my real estate business in terms of, let's say, when I was doing sales on the ground, some of you may not agree. All right, we have a different way of doing it. In my entire life of doing real estate sales, I hardly have any co-broke letter. I hardly have any letter of appointment. Okay, even on an exclusive basis. I'm not encouraging everyone to do that. We all run in a very business way. The way I do it is all about trust. It's all about what we say we have to deliver, and so it works for me. Yeah. All right. And how often do we hear that someone actually got an exclusive right to sell a property, and then eventually the owner also undercut the exclusive agent? Yeah, it happens, all right. So sometimes paper means nothing, but then paper is also very important in terms of letter of appointment or in terms of contract, all right. And so both are equally important. Okay, don't misconstrue what I just said. Never promise something that you are unsure of delivering. Never, ever do that. Okay, because number one, you will cause a lot of mistrust. The moment someone mistrust means there is no turning around one. Okay, you will just lose that client forever and ever and ever. Okay, I think this is a very important part. Learn how to manage expectation. If you can learn how to manage expectation, then you are least likelihood to be able to overpromise. Yeah. Sometimes, like I say, if you are not able to deliver, or the owner is not agreeable to certain terms, then by all means translate down to the buyer or the tenant. I know there's a great fear that if you translate, then the tenant or the buyer will go with another agent. Also call the other buyer, the buyer is telling you, hey, the other agent can offer lower. You call the owner and the owner say no such thing, am I right? So who do you believe, who do you trust? Okay, so you have to weigh the situation, all right? So tip number 3, be assertive, okay? Not aggressive. I shared this before. It works so well for me, all right? I hope everyone get what I'm trying to put across by showing needs. Okay, every single salesperson, our needs we are aggressive, am I right? Why we are aggressive is in the sense that we want to do sales, all right? So I was also a very aggressive salesperson. Yeah, because it's constantly I tell myself I have to close. Those days I tell myself every week I have to close at least 2 deals. Okay, so then your aggressiveness will actually may take precedent. And customer needs are always very passive. Okay, how often you have a customer who are more eager to buy than you are more eager to close the sales? Yeah, you get that once in a while, but not many times. Am I right? So this is the part where you got to balance up, and when there's a cross in terms of your aggressive and the passiveness for the customer, this is the part where you can be aggressive, but then your client will look at this as you are being assertive. All right. So again, I'm going to re-emphasize this. Okay. And when do you assert and ask for sale? Is when your customer actually agree with you on your sales proposition. All right. So the moment your client say, okay, yes, I'm going to buy, then you can follow up. When would you be paying the booking deposit? Is it okay if I drop by tomorrow to collect the check? Of course, he says you don't collect check anymore. Am I right? So you can say, can I expect that the booking deposit is transferred online, let's say by 5 p.m. today? Yeah, so you can. And if let's say the client say yes, but the money doesn't come in, you have the right to actually follow up. All right, you need not to be fearful. In fact, you should be fearless. Okay, so that is how it is. So it's like a very simple analogy where the ball is. Is it at your court or at your customer court? So if it's already at your customer court and the customer will have to hit back, and the customer will say that it's going to hit back and you are not receiving the ball, means you got to really follow up closely. Yeah, so you don't have to fear that your client is not happy. All right, and the only thing your client is not happy is when the ball is at your court and you're asking your client, can you pass me back the ball? And your client will be asking you, or telling you, hey, bro, the ball is at your court. All right, so I'm just giving an example. Yeah, being assertive, like say just a couple of simple what do you call example of statement. Let me know when you have make a decision that is passive. Make your decision now, or you will lose the deal. That is aggressive. Can I have a specific date that you can make a decision? That is assertive. Yeah. All right. So I was in a Zoom with a couple of agents this morning. Yeah, and I've been following up with them for 3 weeks. All right. So I for the first 1 week, I told them, okay, think about it. If there's anything, you let me know. So they say, yeah, Aldrin. Okay, yeah. So 2 weeks after that, nothing happened. Okay, so then I decided to message them 2 days ago. I said, hey, shall we get on a Zoom on the Monday 10:30? Okay, to discuss further. One of them say yes, so 3 of them came into the Zoom, and I closed the deal. All right, I closed the deal is because they were actually looking into changing the platform. So sometimes while you can be a bit passive, but then you have to up the game. And you got to assert a little, all right? So then you will see the result. So then it's always a balancing act between whether you should be passive or you should be aggressive. Okay, so only you will be able to know, because you will be the one that is in communication with your client. Okay, so okay, let's go for tip number 4. Stay optimistic. Yes. Okay, why the laugh? Okay, now, when I share this slide quite many times before, okay, someone actually messaged me and said, Aldrin, you do not know what I'm going through. And this is a true story. And so, what you just share, well, I can understand, but it cannot be just as it is what it is. Stay optimistic. But what I'm trying to say is this: when you talk about staying optimistic, look, real estate should be a major part of your life, okay? All right, because it's your career, okay? Unless you are doing it part time, but to me, real estate is actually part of my life. It runs in my blood. Okay, so and then we also have other personal matters to address. Am I right? So I'm talking about staying optimistic in the context of sales. Yeah, not your personal matter. We all have a personal matter to handle. Okay, fair enough. To me, it's number 1: forget bad sales. Because if you do not forget bad sales, okay, this will affect you. You will be the one at the losing end. Then that will affect how you're going to communicate with your client, with your other future clients as well. Trust me, it's not worth it. Okay, you are on the losing end. Not your competitor, not the landlord, not the owners that you couldn't close the sales, or not the agents that undercut you. All right, you think about it. I've seen agents when they got undercut, or they went into a certain issues where they lose the sales. Either the owner changed the buyer decided to pull out, or another agent just cut the queue. Okay, all right, and then they get demoralized. Fair enough. Then it affected them for a week, 2 weeks, and 3 weeks. And we all know that in this business, if you take a 1 month break, it will take another 2 months for you to be able to pick up the momentum. Am I right? So for a moment, all right, you think about it. If you are in such situation, well, a very simple thing is this: just forget it, all right? Because what you want is to look forward, all right? And if any one of you, okay, if you are in a situation where the past, okay, whatever it is that hold you back, think about it. Okay, easier said than done. But what I want to say is this: try to look at your future, let your future dictates where your destination is and not your past. All right, because your past, if you get affected by it, your destination is going to be backward. Yeah. Okay. Number two, keep yourself busy. Busy with your work lah, and also got to be productive and efficient lah. All right. Okay. This is I'm speaking from my self experience lah. So for me is stay optimistic is forget about bad sales. Okay. I know it's a struggle, but I tell myself forget it. I want to move on to the next deal. Number two, keep yourself busy. Number three, stay focused in your own sales. Okay. It doesn't matter if your competitors are closing more deals or not, because what you want is you are your own, you are in your own race. You got to make sure that you earn enough to put food on the table to even earn more so that you can travel, you can invest in property, or even achieve your financial freedom. Am I right? So stay focused in your own sales, okay? And that is what I always tell myself, okay? So, blame nobody, okay? You want to know something? The moment we start blaming, I can tell you we can blame anything and everything, okay? You can, all right? Because it's so easy to blame, yeah? So bear in mind, blame nobody and mind your own business, yeah? So for those agents on the ground, stay focused, blame nobody, keep yourself busy, forget about bad sales. And if you have any gossiping or politicking on the ground that doesn't really involve you, stay out of it. Simple thing, all right? Because, you can actually intrigue your mind, getting into a bit of a gossip and politicking, but ask yourself, what do you get at the end of the day, all right? If you just purely the fact that you're going to intrigue yourself and at the expense of your sales and you're happy about it, by all means do that. But then at the end of the day, ask yourself, is that what you really want? Okay. Tip number 5. Before that, forget bad sales. Practice makes perfect. Okay. The more you practice, the better you get. You know that. I know that. One of the thing is, so when you fail in closing a deal, do you take it as a practice? Do you learn from, let's say, the oversight or mistake that you have done? Can you use that to improvise your next deal that you are closing? Okay. So to me, is this: we all learn from failure. Okay. So we know that statement very well. But do we really learn from failure? Let me just tell something. I also struggle with that. While I can say, hey, learning from failure is because we are just human, all right? So for a moment of time when you fail, let's say in certain things that you're trying to close, ask yourself, what are the things that you can improvise? What are the things that you can actually prevent from doing in your next deal, all right? Otherwise, there's this thing called the firefighting, all right? Every time, every single deal, you will be firefighting. Why? Because you always have a competitor that is like a vulture, all right, circling above you and the seller and the buyer, waiting for just one slack of a moment where the vulture will just come in and grab your deal away, right? So then constantly you'll be firefighting. Don't you think it's very tiring? So what you want to do is to actually sort out what are the things that you can improvise so that you won't need to get into the same firefighting. But of course, you have other areas of firefighting. Okay, so that is what I meant, forget bad sales. When I say forget bad sales, it's not tricking your mind or just, okay, forget it as if nothing happened. You have to learn, all right? Okay, and So a bit of an illustration over here, and so we all know that without mistake, how would you learn? Okay, but sometimes you don't even have to make the same mistake to learn one. All right, how do you do that? For example, like coming to a training session, travel session over the last 40, 50 days, every 3 p.m. because some of us will also share, the mistake that we have done or how you can avoid your mistake or potholes in your journey. So that is also part of the learning. All right. So the best way to learn is learn from other people's mistake, but don't repeat the same mistake. Okay. Stay focused on your own sales. Highly important. I cannot emphasize enough. I'm going to do this. focus on your own sales. I do see a group of agents on the ground that I don't know, somehow they seem to have a lot of free time, okay, all right, and start going into other areas that wouldn't bring them a result that they want. That is one part that I don't understand. Okay, that's why for many years, when I was doing very active sales on the ground, not many people know me. What? Yeah, am I right? And so I was like in my little own world where it's all about closing the sales. May or may not be a good situation, okay, but it works out for me. I achieve what I want to achieve, okay, during those periods. So I'm just sharing with you my experience over here. So I'm one person that I also always tell our agents on the ground, focus on your own sales. For example, like you are doing project, am I right? So what if another agency that's also appointed for the project, their sales is going up and our sales are not going up that fast? How would it affect us? All right. So if it will affect you badly, means I can tell you the rate of increase of your competitor sales is going to decrease your ability to do sales because you get affected. So why don't you just for a moment of time, put the rest of the competitor out of the picture and focus on your sale. So that is what I tell myself. All right. So it works out for me. I'm not sure whether it works out for you. You can always, try it out. Keep busy. Okay, the more sales you attempt, the easier it will get. It'll be much easier for you to get past your small failures. Yeah, and think about it. What what is your daily activities throughout this journey of your real estate business? Is it something like what you see on the left, or is something that what you are experiencing? Now, keeping busy actually keeps you moving. All right. I this morning I have 9:30 Zoom, 10:30 Zoom, and 1 p.m. Zoom, and now 3 p.m. Yeah, well, it works for me. All right. Okay. So, okay, blame nobody. Simple. Okay, nobody is perfect, and the thing is, always remember, so are you as well. Okay. Hey, come on, guys. All right. It's so easy whenever things don't go right, or maybe sometimes you are in a certain platform that you don't really get the support, so to speak. Am I right? Then you start blaming, or when you don't close a deal, okay, you start blaming. Well, actually, there's really nothing wrong in blaming people. Okay. Now, why I again make a conflicting statement is because now to me this is how my mind works. Okay. We are human. All right. So I'm not saying that you should be a perfect person. That there's no such thing as blame game. Seriously, when something doesn't go right, okay, my thought process number one inside here is like, for example, like Ellie McBeal, the TV series. I'll start blaming one. It's like a drama playing in my mind. But every single time when that happens, I remind myself, all right, what is the value I'm going to get? Okay, yes, I will let my mind play a little bit. Okay, it's okay. It's natural to blame, but then do not allow that to affect my decision. Okay, or affect my future. So this is what I'm trying to say. It's not just as simple as don't blame. Okay, at times you cannot control what you think. Okay, but I believe you can control to a certain extent your action and your decision making. So do not allow blame game to affect how you run your business. So this is what I meant. Okay, so I don't mean that you should eliminate blame. Hey, come on. I also blame a lot of things in my mind, okay? Okay. So, and be constructive and move forward. Yeah, what you want is, if we do not look at things from a constructive perspective, I find that it's always very challenging. It's always very frustrating. Yeah, so what we want is to keep moving, to keep going forward, right? Then only we can grow. Yeah, okay. Tip number 5, believe in your products. Okay, so do you really believe that real estate is a good investment for your client to invest, for you to invest? Do you really believe in that? or you are in real estate because you know that when you close a sales, you can get a pretty good reward in terms of commission. Two different things, two different things. So if you really believe in real estate investment, it's actually a good instrument of investment. You know, that will gauge against inflation, and more so if you start to do investment and you can see the positive result of it. Believe me, that is the most super powerful thing that you can have. All right. In terms of, let's say, your communication with your client, you can start sharing with your client your experience of what you call investment. And it doesn't matter, you know, you can invest in the low cost apartment that, you know, you make about 40% appreciation and consistently 7% return. And do not be shy and fearful to share such investment with, let's say, your client who buy a multi-million property. Because the whole situation is this, is about the strategy of investment. So to me, always believe in a product and not what you want to believe in. So this is what I say. If you can taste the so-called goodness of property investment, okay, then that will be something very powerful. And also bear in mind, not every single investment you will get a kind of return. Am I right? I always tell my client, everyone has there's a white elephant in our portfolio. Okay, many years ago, I have a white elephant in my portfolio. Link factory in Bukit Beruntung. Okay, so I'm just going to stop there. Can you imagine how bad it is? So yeah, it's a white elephant. So I lose money, but that doesn't deter me, all right, from doing investment. Study your listing, that is very important. Do area analysis, okay? The more you analyze, you will help your client to make decision easier, all right? And understand how the product fits into the market. Tip number 6, don't accept no as an answer. Do not let yourself be intimidated by the negative response that you get. Always remember when the client say no to you, okay, it's not saying no to you, neither to the product. Everything has its timing, okay? So you have to learn to persevere. Again, easier said than done, all right? It's like I say, it's a journey, all right? So this is one very interesting career where, you are required to have a lot of knowledge and a lot of things, and you are dealing with the human factors, and you are dealing with a lot of things, a lot of disruption, a lot of disturbances, a lot of noises. How you keep yourself is like, imagine yourself, and I always say this to agents, this business, it's like you have to be the man in the middle of the storm, all right? So if you can achieve that, then I can tell you it's going to work out to you very positively. Okay, so that's how it is, and always have the courage to move forward. Yeah. We all at one point of time we will go through a downtime. Am I right? So it's how you pick up yourself. I also went down a downtime about 5-6 years ago. All right, we were doing a lot of projects. The price point was 1 over million, and that category was actually very badly hit. Sales plummeted. I can tell you, whatever that will go wrong will go wrong. Okay, and actually everything went wrong 5-6 years ago. It was a really, really tough time. Okay, sometimes when you go through tough time, learn to ask for help. Okay, get support from the people that you are working with. All right, either you are a leader or you are a negotiator. It's time where you got to also learn that when you need help, ask for help. And like I say, we managed to overcome the tough time, and things turn out to be a lot better. And have the courage. Okay. Well, I know when you are right at the rock bottom, it's easier said than done. Okay. So then again, these are just tips. All right. So you may have a different experience. So it's for you to just take that with a stride and bear in mind. So this is the second last tip: ask for sale. All right. So now I share the first 6 tips. And those are pretty much on the mindset, on how you communicate, how you carry out yourself, how do you remind yourself. Bottom line is this, okay? You will not be called a salesperson unless you ask for sale. And so every sales speech to me must end with a closing. Whether you close it or not is another thing, okay? So this is my modus operandi, okay? So whenever, let's say, I deal with supplier, okay, I will constantly pitch for closing or pitch for negotiation. Okay, so when I have supplier who want to supply certain things, or service provider, I call it, every single meeting I have, I'll put in an element of a couple of things. Number one, support us to grow. All right, so I tell them the vision where the company is going, so that I can show them that it's actually what you call a business opportunity for them, for my perspective, ask for sale means give me the price that I want, okay, and of course what I say I have to deliver. All right. Remember, one of the tips is under promise and over deliver, because relationship is constantly being assessed by either parties, by both parties. Am I right? And what you want is to have the foundation of a sustainable business relationship with your client, and that is very important thing, because if you do not have sustainability of business relationship, no matter how good you are, you will not be able to build your business with this particular client. And if you can do so with every single client, then I can tell you that is pretty good. All right, so ask for sale. And tip number 8, leverage on your prospect. That is super important. The multiplying effect of it, all right, that is you, and you get your client to lead you to more client. That is super very powerful thing. I used to market a lot of properties in Glenmarie, and I always remember this client of mine, Dato Benson. He was the club manager of Glenmarie Club. And those days, 20 years ago, he always say, "Hey, Aldrin, come over for lunch. All right, I'll introduce you to all my club members." And that is how, through referral, just from one person, and I always indebted to this person called Dato Benson. He has actually linked me to a lot of the club members that owns a lot of properties in Glenmarie. And this is what he always say, "Hey, you need any property services, look for the young man." Okay, many years ago, young man. So the power of leveraging, I can tell you, I cannot say enough of this. Capitalize on that, all right, and multiply your sales through your contact. Remember, buyers bring buyers, prospect bring buyers as well. Buyers, your prospect that do not buy from you, can also lead you to another person that will buy from you. Okay, do not be just like every typical salesperson that, okay, if you do not get the sales from this person, everything stop, because well, he's of no use to me anymore. Am I right? Go to the extent, build the relationship. Okay, and be a center of influence. This is very important. All right. So at one point of time, when I was doing actively sales in Glenmarie, I was really center of influence in terms of the property owners will come to me and seek for advice. Okay, so the moment you are center of influence means you are able to attract a lot of listing, a lot of sales, and people will tend to listen to your advice. So then you can actually advise them, and of course, eventually, in a way, subconscious mind and indirectly also subdue my competitors. All right, because this is a competitive world. Okay, and so thank you very much, everyone, for your time, for listening in. Okay, it took more than 1 hour as usual. I'm also a salesman. Okay, salesmen will tend to ask a lot. Talk a lot. And Q&A. I don't know whether there's any question. Now, if there is, you can put into the comment section. Okay. If there is not, I will end the session, and I hope everyone, a final parting word for today's session. While we all struggle, we all go through a lot of challenges during this lockdown. At times you may grow tired, okay, of the situation. I do at times as well. One of the things that I want to say is keep moving, all right? And easier said than done. But one of the things is this, create habits, be regimented, and continue to do what you need to do in this business during this period of time. Okay, we are either sell or being sold. Yes, thing. Okay. To err is human. GS. Yes. Okay. So in other words, is we are allowed to make mistakes. Okay. But we learn from the mistake lah. Okay. Okay. Positive energy this afternoon. Listening to the road. Okay, on the road. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time. Okay. I hope that this is a fruitful section, and I will pass the session back to Kai. All right. Stay safe, everyone, and look forward to see you all again in the near future. All right. Bye bye.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Aldrin, for making your time here this afternoon. We are very glad to have you to teach all of us. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned, there's a feedback form at the bottom. We really do want your feedback to make sure all training programs are based on what the crowd needs as well. So everyone, thank you so much for making your time this afternoon on behalf of all three of the agencies and our colleagues alike. We are thankful you made your time. We are thankful you made your energy. And most importantly, remember, once you read up on technical-based knowledge, try to apply it practically, okay? So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Stay home, stay safe, take care, and we will see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. for another Solidarity Beyond 2021 session. Please do share, please do like. Thank you on behalf of everyone. Thank you, Visan, Elsie Cheng, Chu, Karen, Judy, another Karen with a C. Thank you, Chiwa. Thank you, Shirley, Benkian, Raja, as usual, GS. Thank you very much. It's because of you this platform is successful. Cheers, ladies and gentlemen.